Chamomile. So today we'll talk about love. The English language is very limited, and context when using the word love is very important. Let me give you a couple of examples. Mom will say to the child, "Oh, I love you." Or the child will say to his or her mom, "Oh, Mom, I love you," or "Dad, I love you." Somebody who's taking a college class will say, "Oh, I'm taking this calculus course. I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. The teacher assigns 3 problems, but I go at the end of the chapter and I do all of them. I love it so much." Or you may say, "Oh, I'm reading this book." For example, Zorba the Greek. And it's a page turner. I love it. I love that book. Or Philadelphia, the United States, the Liberty Bell or whatever. So you'll say, my best friend, my philos, my Philadelphia, brotherly love, my best friend, and things like that. But in the Greek language, they have different words for all these relationships. Stick around, you want to hear more about this. Αγαπη, Αγαπη, alpha, gamma, alpha, P, I, eta. The accent is the A, Αγαπη. Αγαπη is the purest form of love. The most pure. This isn't going to be some sort of lesson in religion, but the day after Christ's resurrection, the disciples, his mother, and other people, they got together and they had a meal. That's where the epiphany happened, and that meal was called then and it's called now Αγαπη. So the disciples sat together, they had a meal, and it was love in its most pure form. So the father can say to a child, the parent can say to a child, "Αγαπη μου, you're doing this the wrong way. You're going down the wrong path. Αγαπη μου." You will never say to the police officer who stops you to give you a ticket, you will never say to him or her, "Αγαπη μου, I didn't do it. I didn't go. I wasn't speeding." Don't, it's completely inappropriate. But the relationship between the two people, when you're having that conversation, when you're going to use the word Αγαπη, is going to be very, very close. It has to be a relative, a close relative, but a parent, it's common, the parent to say to the child, "Αγαπη μου, oh, you shouldn't do this, or do that, or I feel for you, or I want to support you, or I want to help you," in its most pure form, Αγαπη μου. So that's Αγαπη. So I'm gonna call it the Christian, the pure kind of love, Αγαπη. Next, we're going to look into Philia. Phi, Iota, Lambda, Iota, Alpha. Or Philos means friend. So growing up in Greece, from birth until the time I left when I was 22 years old, I had one philo, one friend, Kostas, who's not with us anymore. I got a little verklempt there. So Philia is all about trust, loyalty, understanding between two people. Can be two guys, two male, two females, or one of each. They'll be very, very close to each other. They're going to have no secrets among them. And there'll be some sort of way of some pure understanding between the two of them. And, you know, they're not going to have any monetary gains. There'll be philos. So you can't say, oh, I have 50 or 60 friends, philos. You know, that can't happen. You can only have one or two, maybe three close, real philos, real friends. Like I said, I only had one. That's interesting. And, you know, it was like a clone of yourself in a way, you know. It's a very different relationship, philos. Then we got to do this. Eros. Eros, it's a romantic relationship. You know, if you fall in love with somebody, you will not say to a parent, a child, a relative, will not say to another relative, when I use the word eros, because eros is a sexual or romantic kind of love, you know. When you fall in love with somebody, that's eros. That's Cupid with the arrow. So, so that's another way of expressing your feelings. And the one that I find very, very interesting is the Platonic relationship, σχέση, sigma, chi, epsilon, sigma, eta, σχέση, Platonic relationship. I remember taking a class back in the, I'm just going to say a long time ago, in college, and it was Calculus 1. And I got to tell you, I love that course. I think the book, which Calculus 1 book is like a 2-3 inch book, I must have solved every single problem of that book. You know, the teacher, when the teacher spent like 2-3 minutes in the beginning of the class explaining that, you know, all right, you had Euclidean geometry and you talked about straight lines, you know, triangles and things like that, rectangles. Now we're going to deal with calculus, and calculus is about curves and change and things like that. I said, oh my goodness, really? And I love that course. It was a true Platonic love, Platonic relationship. And also, I remember I was about a teenager, you know, 15, 16 years old. And my mom had a library. I mean, we didn't have much money, trust me. But my mom had a whole bunch of books. She was a reader. And So, and I started as a teenager, have nothing better to do, and I love to read. I started, reading those books, one of which was Zorba the Greek, by the author is Nikos Kazantzakis. And also he wrote several books, Greek classics. Another one was The Re-Crucifixion of Christ, or Christos Ξανασταυρώνεται. Heavy books. Not for teenagers, but I read them, and I read them several times, and every time I read it, I fell in love with that book even more. The writing style, the way he expressed himself, and the situations and the plots and all that. It was a true platonic love, platonic relationship. So it's the platonic relationship. It's non-sexual, obviously, and it has to do a lot of relationships between people. Usually, a platonic relationship would be between a teacher and a child and a student, or a reader and a book, things like that. So you can say, oh, I love this book. Or you can say, I fell in love, I loved platonically this book. I have this platonic relationship with this book. I have a platonic relationship with the book. And obviously, Plato was the one who it's named after. So there are other forms of intimacy, but not love. There's another word called storgi, which the only time I've encountered that word was when I was in Greece, and it was a conversation or reading about a mom and a newborn baby and a little baby, storgi. But that's like a lower level of love, or the feeling that you have about somebody. So I would love to hear your comments about the different types of love. And I hope you will agree with me that the English language is not as explicit when it comes to the word love. And context is very important. Context is very important. Whereas in the Greek language, you have Eros, you have love, you have Philos, you have platonic love. You have all these different ways of pinpointing the way you feel about something or somebody. Thanks for visiting. Please like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video on the social media.